Hey everyone, welcome back to the final episode of Slipping Out Life is Strange. In this one we're going to be taking a look at episode 5, Polarised, to see what we can find going on behind the scenes of the game. And let me tell you, there was tons to look at in this episode, and some of the things I found were just awesome to see and totally different from some of the stuff we've looked at in previous episodes. Before we continue, I should just give a spoiler warning right now. If you haven't played the final episode just yet, then you may see things in the video that you don't want to, so by all means, come back and watch the video after completing it. For you guys who are still with me, as you'll know, we wake up as Max in the Darkroom, and to be honest, in the first few chapters during episode 5, there wasn't too much I wanted to take a look at, other than a few bits that happened to Max. Mainly because outside the room it's just darkness, as the room's located in a dark void, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. In fact, I'm going to skip through these chapters and get to the middle part of the episode rather soon, but there were just a few things I wanted to take a look at, like what's through the safe door that we come through into the dark room during episode 4. Well, when we go through the door we can find a replica of the trolley that's next to Max in the scene. In fact, during the opening animation there are 2 trolleys out here, of which the first one spawns into the room as the trolley we use. By now, if you've watched my previous Life is Strange episodes, you'll know how objects and characters jump around during animations, depending on where the camera is. We've covered it quite a few times now, so I'm not going to show too much of this happening. But during the scene where Mr. Jefferson injects Max, the camera pans away, so I really wanted to see what was happening just out of camera shot. It's not as bad as you think, as in fact the needle barely touches Max before it starts to float around in a comical style.
Whoa!
Skipping now to the chapter on the plane, there were a few things that I wanted to take a look at, including of course the outside of the plane and where do the characters come from and go to. This is one of those chapters that was amazing to see what's actually out there, especially if, like me, you just play these games and wonder what's going on outside the playable areas. First of all, the chap that we see walk past in the animation, where does he go? Well, he walks a long way back, even off the rear of the plane, at which point, for some strange reason, he puts his hands up, like he's been arrested. If we follow the woman you may have just spotted in the background in the T-pose waiting to walk down the centre aisle, she leads us up to the front of the plane, beyond the dreamlike barrier that we can see, and I was surprised to find out how much more of the plane there is up here, especially being we wouldn't normally get to see any of
Now
this.
I have to wait until after my trip to see her again.
You may have noticed the outside of the plane, and that it's not exactly round as you may expect it to be. However, the thing that blew my mind more than anything in this chapter was the fact that we can find a large skybox outside the egg-like sky from what we see inside the plane. Now, I genuinely thought that when I took the camera outside the egg-like sky it would just be darkness, but as you can see there is a landscape skybox with what looks like a farm setting on it. But not only that, check it out, it's still got the website that the developers got the landscape from written on it. How cool is this? It's certainly one of those things that many players of this game will never get to see, or even realise is out here. The museum chapter was a little disappointing to take a look at, but it was one of those that I thought I should include just in case anyone wanted to see it. Well, more to the point, what's outside of it?
Don't say anything stupid. I can't believe my picture is in the same room as all these great images.
Viewer request from my Twitter page now, and it's definitely something I wanted to know, and I'm sure a lot of you out there would like to know too. So, where does David come from during the fight scene in the Darkroom? Well, here is the answer. He appears just around the corner out of camera shot.
No, David, no!
But before all this, he can actually be found just beyond the door to the Darkroom, stood of course, yep, you guessed it, in the classic T-pose. The majority of the chapter Jeffersons Car is pre-rendered, so there wasn't much I could do with it. However, the start of the chapter inside the barn isn't. The full map we see in episode 4 is all here, along with the house outside the map, and the hall that leads to the Darkroom. We then arrive at the destroyed Arcadia Bear, so naturally there were things I wanted to take a look at, most of which is just scanning over the scenery to see how it looks now. Of course, there are certain parts of the chapter that we need to take a closer look at, like what happens to Melissa. And what happens to the characters inside the diner if we're feeling rather evil and let it explode. Well, they seem alright, which is good, as I wouldn't want anything to happen to Pompidou.
Whoa.
Alfred Hitchcock famously called film little pieces of time.
Alright, ladies and gents, it's time for the nightmare to begin, and there was so much going on in this chapter, it alone took me a whole day of recording just to get through it. Mainly because I had to replay the chapter about 46,579 times, roughly speaking, to get the footage. So let's start off with one of the most memorable scenes from the whole game, when the birds start hitting the window.
Wait, what's going on? Nobody even cares?
Seriously though, I could frame any one of you.
Everybody's gone now. Can't be real.
I know a lot of you out there are probably wondering how the transitions work when we go from one place in the school to another, and I'm gonna try and explain this and show this working as simply as possible. So to explain this first part, I'm gonna leave the camera in the classroom as Max goes through the door. As you can see, everything goes dark, and the reason for that is Max and the normal camera position have now both teleported to the next location. So as you can see here, when the animation of Max opening the door happens, it's not the door in the classroom, but a replica that covers the walls of the dormitory corridor entrance. But that doesn't quite explain why it went dark, so if we take a look from this angle way up in the heavens, we can see the art room disappears as we go through the door, hence why the camera was left in darkness. So you may have just spotted in that last clip the name tag above the art room, and what I find amazing about this whole chapter is when we fly the camera back up to the heavens, we can find each location of the nightmare sequence has its own name just above it. Which to me is amazing to see, and the thought that when we're playing this game, these names are floating out there in the heavens, or the void, or space I guess you could call it, it just blows my mind. And guess what? I'm not quite finished just yet, because not only do we have these names out here, we have a moon. Yes, a moon, which is crazy because it's almost like the developers really have made this look like space, even if you never get to see it, as each location has its own skybox, but there really is a moon out here.
Hey Kate. Max, why did you stop me from jumping? What kind of friend are you? You never understood me, or what happened to me. Now my family will never leave me alone. And that means I'll always be alone. Thanks to you.
Kate, that's not true. I've always been your friend.
Similar to the earlier clip where I showed Max teleporting, the same kind of thing happens inside the never-ending corridor scene. Simply depending on which door you enter, creates a replica at the entrance door.
This hall never ends.
Don't you dare question the chef.
Right, like you're the real cook here?
How long will this nightmare go on?
Another request I had on Instagram this time was to try and find out where all the characters come from during the Darkroom scene when Chloe's talking, and a little more in some cases, to various characters. Unfortunately, I'm really sorry, I have failed. I was hoping they'd all be outside, hidden in the corridor just outside the room, but that's not the case, and I couldn't track them down no matter what I did, so huge apologies for this fail. We've looked outside the diner in previous episodes, so I'm not going to spend too much time doing it all again. The only thing that's different in this chapter is, of course, the amount of 2D sprites that we can find out here. Alright, we are coming to the end now, and at the end of the last chapter we make a critical decision which decides how the game finishes. Do we let Arcadia Bear get destroyed, or do we let Chloe die? I know which I chose, and actually I would like to find out which you all chose too, so do leave a comment. First of all, I'm going to show you Arcadia Bear being destroyed from close up, because if we chose Chloe to die, it's all pre-rendered, so there's nothing I can do with it, which makes this the obvious choice. But then once we've seen this, we'll watch the other animation anyway, because we've come this far, so why not?
Oh, Chloe! I'm gonna miss you so much!
I'll always love you.
So there we go, that is it for exploring Life is Strange. It's been an awesome adventure and we've seen loads of weird and wonderful things looking behind the scenes of this game. I really hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I would like to thank every one of you who have come to join me by viewing the videos, and especially you guys who have shown your support by hitting the like button throughout the episodes. Without that support, honestly, I wouldn't be here now. I'd also like to thank the developers for creating such an interesting and great game that we've taken a look at, and if you want to know more about future videos, by all means come and join me on social media platforms that are listed in the description. It would be great to see you there. But until next time, as always, take care guys.